Hey, welcome to Chatting with Chops. You know how sometimes you like taking fruit to lunch with you? Well, I'm gonna make some healthy apple pie filling that you can take to lunch with you. So let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is cut up our green apples. We have 4 medium apples. It doesn't say what kind. Hubby recommended green Granny Smith apples. So we're gonna cut these up, peel them, and then cut them up. All right, so the first step was to peel, core, and cut up your apples. So I have done that. And now what we're gonna do is over medium heat, we're gonna melt our butter and our cinnamon. So that's 2 tablespoons of butter. Make sure we get all of it. And then we have, the recipe asks for 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Well, I love cinnamon, so I'm gonna really pack it to that. And then also, because in my apple pies, I love nutmeg, I have about a half a teaspoon of nutmeg. And again, this is kind of your thing, so how you wanna do it is that's kind of high. Okay. And we're just melting getting our butter melted. Okay, now we're going to put in our apples, our sugar, and our water. So again, we've got 4 medium-sized apples. And then we have our sugar, which we have a 1/3 of a cup of Stevia instead of granulated sugar. Trying to keep the calories down. And then we have 3 tablespoons of regular water. I'm just trying to get those stirred up a little bit. Make sure every apple has some cinnamon and stevia. And again, you don't have to use stevia. This is kind of how you would like it. Because I'm not putting this in a pie. I'm just going to be carrying these to work with lunch. Okay, so now what we're going to do, the recipe says to cover and cook these for about 4 to 6 minutes. So I'm just going to leave these alone. All right, while we're waiting for our apples to soften up, we're going to take 4 teaspoons of cornstarch. And 2 tablespoons of water. I'm just going to mix that up. Okay, and then we're going to use that in a minute. All right, so how I'm going to check my apples, which these definitely do not look like they're ready. Okay, so how I'm going to check my apples is, you don't want them mushy, but you want them soft enough that you can enjoy them. Because again, remember, this is not going in the oven to soften up. All right, well, I'll take that back. See how I'm able to skewer them? That's nice and soft. I want to, yes. See how I'm able to cut that one in half with a fork? That's what I'm looking for. So I was wrong. They are ready. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we're going to add in our cornstarch mixture. I'm going to do this kind of slowly because this is going to thicken up our mixture. Okay. All right, that's nice and thick. So now it says we need to let it just sit here and bubble for about a minute. Okay, so we're just gonna take this off the heat and let it cool off completely, and then we'll try a little bit and see if it turned out the way I wanted it to. All right, so it is pretty much cooled down. I'm gonna give it a nice little stir. Again, this was the first recipe that I looked for. They had the pie filling. Funny enough, this is not the one I use when I make an apple pie. I can already tell it's a little bit thicker than I would really want. Okay, now let's try it. The first thing I would say is, like, when we were spooning it out of the big bowl, it's a little bit thicker than I would normally fix it when I'm wanting to eat them just by themselves. This is perfect consistency if you're putting this in a pie because you don't want it to be runny, but it's just a little thick for me. So let's try it and see how it tastes. And you see, I've cut my apples kind of small. I like them for eating just for lunches. I want them to be kind of bite-sized. Mm. That's pretty good. Okay, so the good things are they're not too sweet, which is great because that's not what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for a nice, nutritious side to my lunches. I love the cinnamon. You can back off the cinnamon if you're not a fan of cinnamon and nutmeg, but I really like it. So I did use a lower calorie vegetable spread instead of using whole butter, which you can do that if you want to. And then I use stevia instead of regular sugar. And that way, again, I'm cutting down the calories. I would say the bad of this is, like I said, I would want it thinner. It's a little too thick for me. But again, you need to make it to the consistency that works with you. So I would say most likely I could have put maybe a little bit more butter in, maybe a whole lot more water in. And the apples are still a little bit firm. It doesn't really make them bad, but I think I would like for them to be a little bit softer. They're not like chewy or hard or anything like that, but I do think I'd like them to be softer. So I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next bake.